Akademiks can't ride no wave.
Was what I'm calling real RICO. Not to say this other thing is not terrible, but RICO with shot people and
violence. People usually associate it with violence, even though really RICO, some of the early uses was like fraud with organizations.
Drug dealing, and even the new crimes such as unemployment fraud, and of the Arizona Department of COVID things. They did it from the Bronx. So there are those cases. Now there's also a UN case that we're
okay. All right, cool. So bet looks like we are good. All right, people. And so let me ask y'all a question. Well, nah, I won't even ask the question. So they're at lunch now. Should I go to the summary or just read through all the tweets, right? Read through all the tweets. We're going to be here anyway, right? All right, cool. Chat, I'm only on coffee right now. Thank you guys for being here. Love you guys. We got, listen, you got to tell a friend to tell a friend. We're streaming over the Academy channel. Some people feel like we have taken a break from covering the trial. We have not. King Akademiks will be back on trial coverage on Monday, okay? So this was a week to kind of get kicked looking a little good, all right? But on Monday, absolutely, we'll be back on all channels that we normally stream on. All right? Okay, cool. So let's go. So this was the issues they brought in before the jury came in. It says, what's the issue with the charge? Shapiro says, we object to column. The column title, escort. It just says, meaning the title. It says, they're connecting up the stay with the hotel with the escorts travel to city. Shapiro then says, listen, we don't know if the escorts traveled to New York, that they actually went to London or hotel. AUSA says, we discussed. Shapiro then says, the government can make an argument that inference can be made. Say, is that fair? They agreed. Okay, so they took the title out. So looks like the government has this like really dope chart, right? They got a little chart saying, this is a RICO, this is sex trafficking, keeping people to move from here to here to here to here, and they have turned it into a chart saying, this is the escort's name, travel from blah, 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 blah. And Diddy's lawyer's like, no, that looks too crazy. Because that's not all the way true in every situation. Cool. All right. Comey then says, we have records like go to room, so-and-so in the hotel. We can remove the header. We will just show that the escort was going to the hotel where the reservation was under the name of Frank Black. And the judge says, what about this one? It says, it's an escort, Jules Theodore. Shapiro then says, we'll take what the court gives us. The judge says, anything on the summary exhibits? We're running into the jury's time. Let's get started. Can we have Mia back? Mia then gets in. Everybody all rise. Smizer then says to Mia, did you call the other employees' family? Mia says, yes, I was surrounded by them, okay? By the way, this is the finishing of the direct of yesterday. It says, and everyone referred to each other that way. It says, you dated an employee? It says, yes, Matt, the sound engineer. So apparently she was dating Matt, who was a sound engineer for Diddy. Keep in mind, Mia was a personal assistant of Diddy, if you guys don't know. She's going under a pseudonym. Her real name is Sarah Schnetker, as we have kind of deduced by, a little bit of putting two and two together, really, right? It says, were you and Matt able to hang out normally? It says, no. We had an apartment together in New York, but we rarely were there at the time. It says, why did you go to South Africa? It says, Puff told me to accompany Cassie. She was shooting a music video, or actually a movie, sorry. AUSA says, what happened there? Mia says, well, Cass had called Puffy cheating on her with Gina. She was devastated. AUSA says, well, what were interactions with Mr. Combs? Mia says, they were on the phone. He was in Miami. Then she stopped answering the call. So it looked like she was upset because Diddy was being slick. It looked like anytime she would go out of town, if Diddy didn't go with her, Diddy would be with another woman. And what happened is Diddy's famous. People are taking pictures of Diddy with this new girl. I'm pretty sure he used to gaslight her, like, no, that's just some girl. But looked like he's either hugged up or something with the girl. And allegedly, at least from what Lauren Collins said, someone takes a picture of Diddy and Gina and sends it to Cassie and says, oh, you guys look cute. And they legitimately thought that was Cassie. And Cassie's like, what the fuck? That's not me. That's that other, and he realized that Diddy's cheating. Cool. AUSA says, I'll read the blue messages. Okay, that's KK. And you could read the gray. That's you. She said, says, I'll read the blue messages. Now, if we're thinking about an iPhone, if the messages are blue and it's Christina Karam, that means they have her phone? You get what I'm using or putting together? The AUSA said they're going to read the message in the blue. You know how iPhone is, right? The blue is you, the gray is them. If the AUSA says they're about to read the blue, are they reading from a seized or whatever copy of Christina Karam's phone? Because remember this, I told you, this name keeps coming up. But if she takes the stand against Diddy, listen, grand opening, grand closing. I'm wondering if they have her phone. We haven't heard nothing from her in a while, even though we did hear a denial of the civil stuff, okay? So you read the gray, that's you. It says she wrote, it said, P. Diddy wants to talk to you. Who's that? Mia says, Puff. Ava says, the audio call not completed. Mia says, I wasn't answering the calls, but I spoke with Puff. He threatened to kill me. AUSA says, what else did he threaten you with? Mia says, he said he was firing me. He said I had to leave and fly back. Remember, she was in South Africa. And he threatened to kill me. Ms. Karam wrote, I need to talk to her. Not sure what to do. He needs you to call him now or you don't have a job. AUSA says, how did it make you feel? Mia says, desperate. I was terrified and it was really sad. AUSA says, did you answer KK's call? Mia says, no, I texted back and that I'd been asleep. It sucks to wake up to this every morning. I'm being shot on or shit on from all sides. I'm in a fucked up spot. AUSA says, and what was KK's answer? Mia says, she wrote, can you call me when you get a chance? I wrote, I'm having anxiety and night fears. AUSA says, about who? Mia says, Puff. AUSA says, who are these WhatsApp with? Mia says, Puff. I screenshotted them. I had other phones. So what did Mr. Combs write? It says, if you don't call me in 2 minutes, I'm going to tell everything. You're fired. Fuck ABC and their lawyers. Let's go to war. He says, what do you think he meant by tell everything? Mia says, he says he'll tell Cassie about the sexual assault. Now, it appears that, and this is what I'm saying, I can't wait till Brian Steele gets up there. Remember I told you, I said, isn't it odd that Mia, who was watching Cassie get abused, supposedly, by Puff for years, gets sexually assaulted by Puff and doesn't tell Cassie, like, girl, he did the same thing to me. And why would Diddy now start threatening her? Yo, I'm about to tell Cassie that I fucked you. That's a little odd, right? Unless maybe they had a secret relationship that Mia knew she needed to keep quiet and be behind the back of Cassie. Because why would Diddy threaten to tell Cassie that he fucked her? Interesting. AUSA says, what do you think he meant by fuck ABC? He says, I had written a show based on my life. And as assistant, it hit the press. It's the most I've ever gotten. He was threatening to take that away. He said, the show ever air? No. Okay. AUSA says, what did he write now? Call me now. Call me now. Now. Then don't ever call me again. I wrote back that I've been asleep. AUSA says, is that the end of the screenshots? Mia says, yes. AUSA says, what's this? Mia says, my email to Puff, then to KK. AUSA says, what did you write? Mia says, I wrote, I'm really sorry, Puff. You know I love you, smiley face. I paid for my own flight. It will cost a change, and I'm sorry to ask for the money. I'm sorry. I want to make sure you're good. At the end of the day, regardless, I love you. Now, chat, again, I think Brian Steele is going to expose her. That nigga didn't rape you. Y'all were fucking around consensually. Y'all were just doing it behind Cassie's back. Why are you, if that's your employer, okay, maybe you're just trying to use love language because he's threatening to kill you. So you're like, no, I love you, Sean, I love you. Because he's saying he's going to kill you or beat your ass. But there's too much I love yous going on here. I don't know. It feels like maybe they were fucking. I don't know. But her story is she never fucked that nigga consensually. All right. AUSA says, why did you send this? He says, he told me to return, then he told me to stay. I couldn't afford the change fees, I told him. Cassie, says she needs me right now. But of course, I'll do whatever you want. Love you. Okay? Who is Cece? Mia says Cass. AUSA says, why did you write that? Mia says, because I worked for him. To him, that's all that mattered. AUSA says, why did you CC? Okay, just copy. Ms. Karam, because I needed an answer. I was in limbo. AUSA says, when you got back from South Africa, where did you work? Mia says, the office in LA. AUSA says, did you have less access to Mr. Combs? Mia says, much less. Did it make your job easier or harder? It made it almost impossible. I needed his okay for everything, and I couldn't get any responses from him. How did it make you feel? She said, defeated. AUSA says, what is this? Mia says, a note from HR to me. AUSA says, what was the date? Mia says, March 31st, 2011. The judge then says, Ms. Schmeitzer, can we take that document down? I think it needs further redaction. AUSA says, what was happening? Mia says, I was suspended without pay. AUSA says, what had happened? Mia says, he came in and didn't see that I've laid out all the options. He started ranting. I tried to point out other options. Who is this with? Mia says, James Cruz. He worked for Puff at the time. In like a managerial role, he asked for tickets. Mia says, I wrote back, Puff is currently firing me right now. He wrote back, LOL. I wrote back, no, seriously, sad face. AUSA says, what's this? Mia says, an email from D-Rock to me on March 25th, 2011. AUSA says, D-Rock asked, what happened? Mia says, I wrote, he went batshit crazy about a shirt. AUSA says, where was Puff? Mia says, with D-Rock. He was going to the doctor and going to run some other errands. I asked D-Rock to give me a heads up before they came back so I could be out the way. AUSA says, what did HR tell you? Puff wanted me suspended without pay, and I was. AUSA says, Mia, does this memo document the reasons? Does this memo document the reason you were suspended? So no, HR told me Puff said I was being insubordinate. So basically they wrote up like some reason that, wasn't true because Puff told her directly why she was really being punished. AUSA says, did you get other documents like this from HR? Mia says, yes. How did they make you feel? So sad, like I did something wrong. AUSA said, did you continue working for Combs? Mia says, yes. AUSA says, did you feel like you could leave your job? Mia says, that wasn't a thought. I tried to run away before, but it didn't work. AUSA says, did you feel you could get other jobs? Mia says, oh no, he would have made sure. Mia says, I was scared of him. AUSA says, when did you try to run away from your job? New Year's 2010 to 2011? Where were you? She says, St. Bart's. She says, who was there? Me, Puff, Kim, the kids, some others? By the way, I think that might have been a trip Cassie didn't get invited in, right? AUSA says, where did you stay? On a yacht that Puff chartered. AUSA says, what did Mr. Combs ask you to do? He asked me to count money in the safe. He yelled, you're counting too fucking slow. He chased me out and told me, you better learn how to walk on water like Jesus, bitch. Get the fuck out of here. AUSA says, whose job was it to count money? He says, that was security's job. Mia says, I asked the crew to take me to land, but it was a hurricane or something. I hit on the 3rd floor. Damn, a yacht with 3rd floor? What type of yacht this nigga had? This nigga had a yacht with a 3rd floor? Holy shit. Let me see what type of yacht is that. Yacht with a 3rd floor. That's crazy. That nigga had a fucking cruise ship. Oh my God. Nah, Diddy rich. Holy shit. Damn, okay. All right, okay. Who spoke to you? Kim. She tried to console me and said, don't worry about it. I saw Puff coming towards me. I ran and hid in the cabin. AUSA says, did the crew take you to land in a tender boat? Mia says, yes, but when I got called, I had to come back. AUSA says, were you able to leave the country? Mia says, no, my passport was on the boat. Puff's staff had it. AUSA says, did you go back to the boat? Mia says, yes. Mia says, I was told to go get the car, to go get the plane, to go to Vegas with Puff. In the car, could you hear Puff's call? Mia says, yes. He was telling his chief of staff, Christina Karam, that I needed to be suspended. Making up a story I didn't get to finish. He yelled, shut the fuck up. AUSA says, you left Combs' company in 2017, didn't you? She said, yes. I spoke with Brian Ufford. We were editing a Bad Boy documentary. I was producing that. AUSA says, what did Brian tell you? Mia says that Mr. Combs wanted to end Revolt Films. The company was going away. So how did you feel? I think I saw snot coming out of my nose for a while. Oh my God. I was worried. I had been told Revolt Films was the only company that had made money that year. So how did you feel? Mia said that I had done something wrong. Attorney AUSA says, what did Brian Ufford say? Says that they would work out Severance, but it was the holidays. Did you speak to anyone else? Christina Karam. I had a little bit of time to horrifically process what had happened. KK said, you're still working on a documentary. AUSA says, did you? She says, yes, I was doing it until March or April. AUSA says, what did you do after it? I cried myself to sleep. I ignored all the calls. Did you have a conversation with Cassie after? BN says, I can never tell who it was with I couldn't tell who was with or without Puff, so I didn't respond. Mia says, KK says Puff couldn't believe I would go against him. I'd gotten an employment attorney. KK says Puff couldn't believe it. Did you get paid? I said, yes. After 9 months, my attorney proposed a mediation. They asked for like $10 million. AUSA says, who came up with that figure? Ooh, what year was this? Okay. Anyway. Who came up with that figure? My lawyers. Did you bring up violent incidents? A few of them. Okay, so it looked like she threatened to sue way back in the day too. I felt that I was doing something horrible. I was breaking the idea of confidentiality, telling secrets. I felt I was wrong and I was shameful. Did you ever bring up the sexual assaults? Oh no, I was gonna die with those trauma, right? So AUSA says, how much did you receive? I got $200,000. My lawyers got that much too. So basically $400,000. So Diddy paid out $400,000. She initially asked for $10 million. Okay. What was it for? It was for bonuses that hadn't been paid and out of pocket. AUSA says, would you return the money to never have this happen again? Brian Steele says, objection. Judge says overrule. Mia says, oh, absolutely. AUSA says, do you have any other lawsuits against Mr. Combs? She then says no. So it looked like she signed some document saying she could never sue for any of these things, but it's probably for that time period, which probably also includes sexual assault. So Diddy probably crossed his T, dot his I with whatever he's signed when he gave her the $200,000. So I know she feel fleeced because Cassie got 20 M's and she got 200,000. And right now when the lawsuits are hot, she can't really sue, I think, right? It said, did you contact Mr. Combs again? She said, yes, when Miss Kim died, Kim Porter that is, and when Andre Harrell died. Did you tell him you loved him in these messages? Yes, that's how I would normally speak with him. AUSA says, are you aware of Cassie's lawsuit? Yes, November 2023. Have you spoken with Cassie since the suit? Yes, we talk a lot. Then not. We both hide our phones in the depression. We hide from our phones in the depression thing. Then a few days ago, just personal stuff and I love yous. Did you speak about your testimony? Oh, no. Which I don't believe this at all. They met right before, after Diddy's arrest. They talked about possibly testifying, 100%. Right? Well, who cares? That's what she says. They didn't talk about it. AUSA says, after the suit in 2023, did anyone contact you? Yes, D-Rock. He was like my big brother. AUSA says, he said, how are you? What was your response? He says, D-Rock. AUSA says, why all the exclamation points? She says, because I love exclamation points. And D-Rock. Mia says, I understand D-Rock was no longer with Puff either. Yeah, Mia says, I understand D-Rock was no longer with Puff either. He and his wife had a restaurant in the Poconos. AUSA says, I'm about to call you. He wrote, I'm about to call you. What's that date? It's November 30th, 2023. AUSA says, did D-Rock call you? Mia says, yes. What happened on the call? Steele says, objection. Judge says, ask again. What did he said? Judge says, overruled. He started with personal stuff, then said the news is crazy. It wasn't like that. It was normal fighting. AUSA says, was it normal fighting? Mia says, absolutely not. D-Rock says, Puff misses you. Implied everyone agreed. Mia says, I immediately thought, oh my God. Steele says, objection. Grounds non-responsive. They do a sidebar and then they're back. AUSA says, what did D-Rock say he was? He said he just landed in Miami. He was going to be at Puff's. He was going to go take care of Christian. D-Rock says, maybe you could say something. How did you respond? I pretended I'd talk to Puff. Did you want to? No. I pretended I would talk to Puff. Did you want to? No, I was scared. He called me right after. So it looked like D-Rock calls when the Cassie lawsuit dropped and says, yo, I'm on my way to Puff. By the way, why did Cassie say all that bullshit? Like, this shit was mad consensual. They were just fighting like, toxic couples, huh? And she's like, and he's like, yo, I'm about to be at Puff's crib, yo. I'm going to have you talk to Puff, all right? And she's like, yeah, okay. So she's saying she wasn't down with it, right? AUSA says, okay, so here we go. Says, did you want to know I was scared? He called me right after D-Rock. He said, how did you react? I threw my phone behind the couch and ran out. Why? It was just so triggering. Did you hear from D-Rock again? Mia says yes. AUSA says, what did D-Rock write? Mia says that your boy doesn't want you to do anything, just to talk. I didn't want to. I just wanted it to go away. AUSA says, what then did D-Rock write to you? Mia says he wrote, I can't believe you're not hitting me back. It was February 22nd, 2024. Okay? So it looked like she stops to respond to D-Rock because D-Rock is basically telling her to talk to Puff, and she didn't really want to talk to Puff. She threw the phone behind whatever and ran. Mia says, I knew he wouldn't stop, so I wrote back. I said I was scuba diving all day. I didn't have our phones on the boat. Was that true? No. I told D-Rock I called Puff, but there was no answer. I wanted to play neutral. AUSA says, D-Rock asked, how can I send you something? What did you think he meant? He says, money. I said, no. I'm always ready to help y'all out. AUSA says, I'm allowed to send my sister a gift. I said, did he? Mia says, no. AUSA says, what did you think D-Rock was trying to do? Mia says, was trying to find out for Puff if I was a threat. AUSA says, did Mr. Coleman text you in February 2024? Mia says, yes. He said, call me when you have 10 minutes, love. AUSA says, and this one in February 27th, he said, I need my memory jogged. Ooh, did you respond? No, I didn't want anything to do with him. He was the person I was traumatized by. I knew this was all a front. AUSA says, what was the last message? Mia says, I think so. I got some. Steele says, objection. Judge says, sustained. Wow. She is, I understand why Matthew Russell said that this might be a better witness than Cassie. Because Cassie's like testimony, there's part of you that could say, yo, Cassie is kind of down with it. Or Cassie is only now having buyer's remorse. Cassie wanted to be with Diddy. She wanted to be his wife. She wanted to have his kid. And she never got that, and that's why she's filing charges, because she's now with the broke-ass nigga, right? With this woman, she's claiming she never wanted to have sex with Diddy. She never had a romantic relationship with Diddy. And basically, Diddy raped her. Diddy beat her. And basically, she was trying to do everything to get away from him. And Diddy also killed her career. But also what they're painting right here is that Diddy was trying to intimidate her or probably try to bribe her, okay? So he was trying to obstruct justice because there was an investigation that was impending into the criminal activities of Diddy. So Diddy was having people call her and be like, yo, you want a gift? And she felt like they were trying to feel her out to see if you're not down to take a gift, you might be working with the cops or something, right? Cool, let's keep it going. All right, says, do you work now? She says, no. I suffer from complex PTSD, the justice sidebar. AUSA says, so what are your symptoms? And Mia says, misinterpreting emails. Someone calls my name from across the room and all the feelings of getting in trouble come flooding back. I triple guess myself. AUSA says, who caused it? Mia says, Puff. Judge says, break. And they take a break. They come back. Mr. Steele, can you put the binders on the jurors' chairs? Ms. Smyers, do you have any objections? Smyers says, there's an exhibit we're requesting hearsay redactions to, but we could hash it out. Judge says, put the binders on the chairs, okay? All rise. Here's a cross-examination, and YSL Steele is now checked into the game. Check it out, Chad. He says, because Mr. Combs, you suffered a great deal, right? Mia says, right. Steele says, just seen him call your number made you throw your phone, right? She says, yup. Steele says, he made you do things that are unthinkable, right? She says, yup. Steele says, making you sleep in a room with a lock. Or I think it was without a lock. I think that was the way. Without a lock. And coming in and violating you in the most unthinkable way, right? She says, yup. He says, you said his conduct was the worst thing that's ever happened to you, right? She says, yup. Steele says, all right, well, look at this notebook. Okay, I love Steele. Steele don't play around. Like, he'll gas you up and be like, word? So it's the worst thing ever, huh? Word. I bet. Open that book real quick. He said, I moved for admission 1702 to 1710. These are exhibits. Smyers says, these are under seal. Steele says, whatever the court says. We got redacted versions anyway. Mia, this is a social media post of you in 2013. Mia says, yes. It's your personal account, right? This is what you're doing? Says, yes, that's my personal account. Steele says, you wrote, this is what we do when you're not around. I'm Diddy. Ciroc, right? She says, yes, that's me. So you tagged him years after you said he raped you. She said, yes. Okay. This is July 4th, 2013. Who hands are those? Cass and me. You wrote rich as fuck and Cece. Who's Cece? Cassie. Brian Steele says, what does Cece stand for? It's just a nickname. Have you ever heard about Cassie Combs? Steele asks. Mia says, oh, that makes sense. Steele says, Here you say he got coffee for you in Forbes list. She says, yes. Steele says, so you say he made you take drugs against your will at Burning Man, but you post about it? She says, right. Steele says, you posted a picture with him here. Why would you post a picture with a man terrorizing you? So they're showing her in her Instagram, like, yo, you posed up with this nigga, like after he raped you, he's terrorizing you, he's beating you, she's like, yeah. Still says, and this video depicting Mr. Combs as a doctor delivering your baby. Mia says, it was a funny video. I was proud to be in it. Still says, Mr. Combs' birthday is significant to you too. You did 2 shots with him, right? Mia says, yes. Still says, oh, I forgot. Alcohol overcame you. The 2 shots put you on it, right? She says, yes. So you think you were drugged, right? She says, I didn't say that. And to be clear, she never said she got drugged, but she implied she got drugged by saying 2 shots took her out. Still says, a person you don't really know put his mouth on your mouth without permission, right? She says, yes. His hands was up your dress and onto your person, right? You remember that? It was paralyzing, right? She says, yes. You woke up in that chair, you told the jury. So you blacked out, he raped you, you woke up in that chair, right? She says, I did. But what about this damn message right here? You know you done fucked up, right? And this one. And then the other same day you posted something off the anniversary of you being sexually assaulted according to your testimony. So it looked like she's still posting Diddy years after. He says, I don't celebrate as the anniversary of that, but it's his birthday. Remember, Diddy wanted to fuck her, or did fuck her, or raped her on his birthday. So they're like, why would you celebrate the anniversary of your rape? She's like, I don't look at it like that. I just look at it as his birthday, so I celebrated it afterwards. Steele says, what did you write? Mia says, thank you for giving me an extended family for life. You're fucking funny. I love you. Steele says, you're in a tutu next to Combs, right? Mia says, yes. Is he holding his private part in his hand? She says, I guess so. Steele says, you were proud of Mr. Combs? Mia says, of course. You'd post the good times. Steele says, you wrote extended family for life. You're forever one of my great fans. This is about a man, or friend, I guess probably that was. This is about a man who traumatized you, right? She said, I did write that. Steele says, who's your mentor and brother that you're writing about with this picture right here? Puff. You did a lot of collages. A lot of them got you and Diddy. Who picked out the thumbnails? You did that, right? Yeah. What did you write here? Who let me have my hair like that? You're with Mr. Combs in this picture, right? Yup. Here you say, look, Ma, I'm in Billboard on Times Square, right? She says, it's a play on My Name is in Lights. And what about this photo right here? That's me and Cassie, where we're going to Istanbul. Steele says, did Mr. Combs have to approve of both of y'all going on that trip? Mia says, absolutely. Steele says, and this photo? So we're on the Sprinter on the way to Cass's club appearance. And what about this one? That's the W Hotel in Istanbul. Steele says, what did you write here? About Muhammad Ali's birthday with Puff. I took the photo. Oh, so you took the photo. You took one photo? I think I took multiple photos, but this was the best one. Steele says, this is November 4th, 5 years after you got sexually assaulted, right? She says, yes. Steele says, what did you write? She says, thank you for being my friend. Hashtag happy birthday Diddy. Hashtag I'm so hot. I'm throwing panties at myself. And you have Mr. Combs shirtless in 2 of the pictures. 2, right? Yeah, he's kind of always shirtless. So Mia, you said you were sexually assaulted so many times you can't remember, right? AUSA says objection, misstates the testimony. She never said so many times she can't remember. They sustain that. Steele says, have you met with prosecutors? Mia says, yes. Steele says, more than 27 times? She says, I don't remember the number. Do you remember telling you don't remember how many times you were sexually assaulted before? I don't know if I phrased it that way. This has ruined you though, right? You're broken, right? You're just broken. Well, the sexual abuse was part of the way he ruined me. Yeah. So you wrote, thank you for being the good kind of crazy, inspiring me every day. Yeah, I mean, I don't think people write bad stuff about their life on Instagram back then. So why did you promote it? It was my job to promote. It was kind of like cycle of ups and downs. Mia says, when he was calling me his best friend, I wasn't afraid of him. Steele says, so you weren't afraid of the man who stole your innocence? His objection, they overruled it. Steele says, you have a family? Yes, parents and a sister. Friends? AUSA is now asking for time. They can see Brian Steele is trying to put belt to ass. He ain't trying to go. He's trying to get to it. Steele says, when you posted this, you still had a friend? She says, I had no sounding board. I had to go get permission to go to my grandfather's funeral. Says the jury has an email with D-Rock. You could express yourself though, right? She said, I reached out to him. Steele says, what's this? That's my friends at Funny or Die. I'm in the video. Steele says, what did you write? You know, you're a celebrity when you were spraying champagne at Funny or Die. Steele says, what's this? My birthday post for Justin. That's Puff's son. Steele says, and this one? That was a Ciroc promo. #. Steele says, you're in it with Mr. Combs, right? She says, yes. Steele says, did you ever say anything about Mr. Combs violating you? Mia says, never. Here? That's Puffy and Jimmy Iovine. They're legends. Steele says, he traumatized you though, right? It says, yes. Steele then says, you wrote. Mia says, watch Puff tonight on Fuse. I convinced him to make a door on his TV set and call it the Diddy door. Steele says, you post a picture of the person who's ruined your life? Mia says, yeah, and the guy who's also my boss. Steele says, who made you post this? Mia says, no one. Steele says, how do you forget about waking up with a man on top of you having his way with you? She says, I was in fear of upsetting him. The moments other than when we were best friends. Says, how were you best friends with the man that you said raped you? I don't know. Ask my therapist. I don't know. Steele says, what did you write here? Fuck off Patron with a picture of Puff dancing with his tequila. Steele says, and in this photo, is Mr. Combs close to you? She says, yes. Says, you were producing the show, right? It's like, yeah, Funny or Die, he did it. But I was getting producer credits. He says, can we get a sidebar? So the AUSA, yo, Steele is being, wow. The judge says, we'll give the jurors their lunch break and we'll stay and hash it out. They said the witness has not burdened to bring forth evidence to support her claims. It's our burden. The judge says, Mr. Steele, you'll have to ask, does she have texts or emails or something of the sort? Steele says, understood. Oh my God, I got to hear how this looks in court. Brian Steele is applying belt to ass. Let's see it, chat. Belt to ass. Okay. All right, here you go.
United States versus Sean Combs, day 13, week 3. It's Friday. Yay. So we finished the direct examination this morning of Mia, Diddy's former assistant, director of development at Revolt TV. And then we started the cross-examination, which was done by Brian Steele. This morning, before the jury came in, they were discussing the fact that Diddy needs more time with his lawyers. He was saying that he doesn't have any more minutes left at MDC, so there was some back and forth about that. And Diddy was very intent on telling his lawyers, I don't have any minutes. Although the judge said that he spoke to MDC and Diddy had only used 47 out of 300 minutes. And these minutes are to use the phone to talk to his lawyer. So they're trying to figure that out. But anyway, let's get to the finishing of the direct testimony. We saw this back and forth between basically Diddy, Mia, Christina Coram, while Mia was in South Africa with Cassie, and this whole thing went down about Michael B. Jordan and Diddy being somewhere with Gina and Cassie seeing. It really just showed that Diddy and Christina Coram called Mia over 40 times in a row at different points. Text messages, emails, and Mia just said she felt incredibly stressed and felt just incredibly overwhelmed and stuck in the middle of all of this stuff. And, I think it was just kind of highlighting this toxic work environment where she just felt trapped. We also learned about, this I felt was interesting, and this came at the very end of her testimony. So it was 20 I think she said it was 2016 or 2017. That was the last year that she worked for Diddy or for Revolt TV. And she said that, she had met with the COO of Bad Boy, and he relayed to her that Diddy didn't want to do the Revolt film anymore, which was what she was doing. And so she said she was upset, she felt betrayed, but they were going to work out Severance and all this stuff. And, then she later found out they wanted her to finish with this project she was working on, a Bad Boy documentary. And after that, she could work out her severance, her pay, or whatever she was owed. So she said she was told to get an employment lawyer to help out with this. But when she brought this employment lawyer to the table, she was getting messages, I think it was from either KK or somebody on Diddy's staff, saying that Diddy felt so betrayed that she would, bring a lawyer into this and all this stuff. And so they basically sat down, had a meeting, and I think she was initially paid $400,000, but she only got $200,000 of this. She said, the other half went to her lawyers. And the government asked, would you give this all back if it meant you didn't go through what you went through? And she said, of course. And then I thought this was very important testimony. We learn that, sorry, it's very sunny. We learn that D-Rock, Diddy's bodyguard, or one of his security people, reached out to her, Mia, maybe a couple days after Cassie's civil lawsuit dropped. And he just kind of said, Mia, what's up? And she was like so excited to hear from D-Rock because they were very close. And he then just says, wow, this stuff is so crazy with, Puff and Cass. Like, we all know they just fought like a normal couple. And then Mia said she felt a little bit nervous, and it just didn't sound right because she's like, oh, I kind of know where this is going. And also, D-Rock was there for so much of this. How does he not, how is he saying that? And, she said that D-Rock was like, can I call you? Let's talk. And she's like, I don't want anything to do with this, basically. And he kept texting her and saying, Puff just wants to talk to you. And she was really just being very evasive. She said she was scuba diving. She didn't have good service. It was just really obvious, what she was doing. She was uncomfortable. And then she said that Puff called her. And she said she had this reaction where she threw her phone on the couch and ran out of her house because she just had this PTSD. Oh, and by the way, I'll get there after, sorry. So she didn't answer, and then D-Rock texts her again, and, he just said, man, you're not responding to me. What's going on? Kind of getting annoyed at her. And she was like, oh gosh, I better say something. So, and then he said something like, did you ever talk to Puff? And she wrote back, oh, sorry, I don't have good service. She said, she lied, and she said, he called me, which he did, and she said I called him back, and I didn't leave a message, so I left it at that. And that's, they said, did you call him back? And she's like, no, I definitely didn't. So eventually, D-Rock kind of sends her this message saying that he wants to send her a gift. And she took that as he wanted to send her money. And she kind of noted that she was in debt at the time, but she was like, no, I would never take a gift from you. No. And he said something like, oh, I can't just send my sister a gift. And she's like, no. So she didn't get anything, made that very clear. And I can't remember if I said this. I already did another report before this, but D-Rock in 2023, she testified that he did not work for Diddy at the time, but he was in Miami doing something for Diddy's son. So I'm not sure if he was on the payroll or whatever, but I thought that was an important note. So yeah, he says, can I give you this money? And she's like, no, or this gift, sorry, not money. She took it as money. So then in February of 2024, Diddy texts her and says, hey, can we talk? Love. She doesn't text him. About 5 days later, at the end of Feb, she gets another text from him. And he says, hey, I just need your help jogging my memory. He said, you were my right hand for such a long time.
Oh, okay. Matthew Russell had said, you need your memory jogged. I was like, why would Diddy text that? No, I think Diddy was like, hey, I'm just trying to jog my own memory. Can we talk?
I just need you to help me remember who was around me during that time. And, he just said, I just want to talk. I hope you're well. Love, again. And she never reached out to him, and she said she hasn't heard from him since. And then she said that she can't work because she has just PTSD from Diddy and all the trauma that she experienced. So yeah, that was a moment. And a lot of you guys have been asking or commenting about juror reactions, and I wish I had more to report. They are, in my opinion, they are pretty stoic. I mean, they laugh when it's appropriate. They just have kind of blank faces on or serious faces on. I did notice two men in particular. One man seems to be really intent on reading all of the email exchanges and the text exchanges. He's always kind of looking at those messages on the screen. And another guy, he just always looks really perplexed, I noticed. But, something smells out here. Sorry. But yeah, and there's one woman who sometimes just seems to have like a resting kind of smile when she's listening, but not when it's anything traumatic or serious. So it's so hard to read these guys. And today we saw Diddy shake his head again when Mia was testifying about sexual assault. But and this is, I'll go into this a little bit later, but just briefly to touch on the cross-examination, which was started before lunch by Brian Steele. He pulled up a lot of Mia's old social media posts on Instagram, and these were actually in a binder and the binder was handed out to the jury by the defense, because I think that they're having an issue on whether or not this can be submitted as actual evidence for the jury to reference at the end when they're deliberating. So I think the fix for now was to give them these binders. So all these photos are from 2008, let's say, to 2016, and they're of Mia posting things about Diddy. She loves him. He's an inspiration. She thanks him. He's her best friend. She's so thankful that he's silly in a good way. Just a series of pictures. And what's notable is the birthday post, because she said that she was first sexually assaulted by Diddy on his birthday, November 4th, 2009, his 40th birthday. And so Brian Steele's like, this is a significant day for you because you were traumatized on that day. And she's like, yes. And he's like, but you continue to post all of these birthday pictures year after year, really thanking him, loving him, all of this stuff, even though that's a day of trauma for you. And she's like, yeah, he was my boss. He was my mentor. And her answer for a lot of this is the highs were high and the lows were low. So we saw a picture that she reposted by Meek Mill with the Game and Cassie, and Meek Mill, obviously. They're all in a hot tub with bikinis or shirtless. We saw a Burning Man picture with
too easy, right? Too easy.
Groovy Lou, and this was when the tour bus thing, by the way, happened with the plate of cocaine or ketamine, whatever. So and she said, take me back to Burning Man. So Steele's like, take you back? So you had fun? And she's like, well, I went to multiple Burning Mans with him, trying to be like, this may not be the one. But yeah, a lot of that, and I'm sure we'll have more later. So I'll see you this afternoon.
Okay. Let me see if homie here did he drive something or no? Okay. I know Long Crown's gonna have some. Yeah, today's a very important day, if you ask me.
Until the next trial. Subpoena her.
Even people like Diddy himself, because they were essentially trying to get in touch with her to kind of talk to her and find out how Cassie's doing, where Cassie is. Because if you think about just that time frame, this was around the time frame Diddy's over in Miami. He was spotted out with Gina, and Cassie was pretty upset about this, and to the point where she just was not picking up Diddy's messages. And so Mia had explained that Cassie was devastated by getting sent this photo of Mia and Diddy together over in Miami, so she stopped answering Diddy's calls. So what did Diddy do? He had Christina Coram and other staffers try to get Cassie on the phone. We saw exhibit photos of a text message from October 26th of 2015 between Christina Coram and Mia, where Christina Coram is writing to Mia, hey, it's KK. Did you get those She wrote, hey, it's KK. Did you get these? PD wants to talk to you. Sorry, messenger, don't shoot. Mia responded, she just tried to call him, and then she is that she's referring to is actually Cassie. Christina Coram responded, "Can you call me first? Audio call not completed." Mia said, "I just woke up. Did you ever explain to him being Diddy, what time it is? It's around 7:45 a.m. I have missed calls from 3:45 a.m. I will call you when we get to rehearsals. He doesn't sound in his right mind at the moment, so any reasoning should be in the a.m. your time." And Mia says around this time that Diddy had threatened to kill her and threatened her job and even pretended to call HR on her at one point. And Christina Coram tried to intervene by saying, "Well, he just called me again, Mia. He just told me that if you don't call him in the next 2 minutes, you don't have a job." And Mia said she felt kind of panicked by this. And so she kind of responded back, "I just woke up to 48 missed calls. I keep waking up to a million calls. I answer the phone at all times. We aren't ignoring you. I'm just most likely asleep. This is really stressful. I'm not ignoring you." And so she said as far as returning from South Africa that she normally worked in the LA office, but she said after this return from this trip that Diddy wasn't physically around her when she returned, and that kind of made her job impossible because one of those job requirements is to be kind of in his side, be near him, kind of understand what's going on with him, what he needs and that sort. And so she had explained that I wasn't allowed to make massive money decisions without his approval. She also said like I was letting people down and projects were based on the relationships I formed, and she felt disappointed by this. Then we were kind of segueing into just the threats made to her job, where we saw an exhibit photo of kind of a memo informing Mia that she would be suspended for a 5-day period, to the point where she wasn't even being paid during this suspension. And so Mia said she was again suspended without she was suspended without pay prior to notice before, and that Diddy had asked Mia to get him a lot of options as far as workout clothes, because this was what the memo was kind of in reference to, that it was normally the stylist job to lay out all his clothes and his different outfits for him. But Diddy just got so mad that he cursed out Mia. He got angrier and angrier, and Mia pointed out that, hey, there's other options over here if you want to look at these. But Diddy, and according to Mia, threatened her job once again. And so as far as just kind of where the direct examination sort of kind of ended, there was still a lot of stuff going in between, and I'm sure we'll get to that when we do our breakdown later today. But as far as where the direct kind of ended, they were talking again about kind of settlements and what happened, because essentially Mia was explaining that she left Revolt Films around 2016 because Diddy no longer wanted to pursue films, and this kind of left her without a job. And so she said that she was kind of encouraged to get a lawyer, so she got a lawyer to kind of pay for those overdue wages and just the bonuses that she had pretty much earned while on the job, but she didn't get paid these, and so she got a lawyer. And originally her attorneys got offered around $10 million, or they kind of pointed to this $10 million number as far as just kind of the amount this possible settlement could have. But she said the settlement actually ended up being $400,000, but she only got half of it because the other half went to her lawyers. And so she thought that she had told a couple instances of violence during these mediation talks, but she said, "I thought I was doing something horrible. I thought I was breaking confidentiality. I thought I was telling his secrets." But the prosecution kind of ended that Mia didn't have any type of pending lawsuits with Diddy, but they also kind of referenced that even after Cassie's lawsuit was filed in November of 2023, all of a sudden Mia gets a text message from none other than D-Rock, and D-Rock was trying to get her in touch with Diddy. And it was interesting kind of hearing her perspective of it, because from her perspective, she said she didn't want to answer these calls. She didn't want to speak to Diddy. She felt threatened. She felt traumatized from the time that she was on the job, that she didn't want to reach out to him or message him back. So she kind of played along and tried to play dumb, according to her, just about, "Oh, I'm going to call him, don't worry," or "I'm on a boat, I'm sorry I missed your call," just kind of trying to evade him, but also not get him too mad. But D-Rock kind of kept pushing to the point where he was even messaging her as late as February of just last year, essentially just wanting to talk to her. And it seemed interesting from her perspective, kind of that there was kind of this campaign kind of going on from the former staffers where they were trying to get in touch with her so they could kind of get, I guess, their story straight together and see how they could kind of put on a united front, as because again, around this time, Diddy's world is essentially collapsing because There are so many lawsuits being filed at this point. This was after Cassie's settled lawsuit, but still more trickling in. And so that's kind of where we ended on the direct examination. But there was still so much more even in the interim of that.
Yeah, and one of the things I want to address with our panel a little bit later is, could that be interpreted as either bribery or obstruction if they're reaching out to her after Cassie's lawsuit?
Yeah, if they know there's an
were they
investigation,
aware
right?
there was a federal investigation happening? I want to say, I seem to remember they might have gotten word that there was an investigation beginning in January of 2024. That time frame would be really interesting. So we'll put that to the side. What happened on cross? Because I'm reading it, and I'm reading about these these social media posts, but it's different being in the courtroom. Are you seeing these posts? Like, what is exactly the social media posts that are being Mia is being confronted with?
Well, the cross-examination is being conducted by none other than Brian Steele. So I was specifically wondering, how would he cross-examine her, especially after all the heavy testimony that we had heard just yesterday? And Brian Steele kind of came out on the attack. And so even before Mia is brought out, before the jury is brought in, because we kind of take a lunch break, we took a morning break in between the direct examination and the cross. So in that break, the defense is putting out a whole bunch of notebooks on the jury seats. And it's not necessarily a notebook. I should actually say it's a binder full of just different exhibits, photographs. I believe there's text messages in this binder, but they were laying all of these binders out. Then Mia's brought in, then cross-examination comes, and Brian Steele right out of the gate says, so because of Mr. Combs, you suffered a great deal. Mia responds, yes. You have trauma working with Sean Combs, yes. He made you do things that are unthinkable. He was really kind of exaggerating his words here, and he violated you and he diminished you. And Mia responded, true, or she responded, yes. Brian Steele asked her, you wanted to kill yourself? And Mia had responded, yes. And so he was coming off very kind of powerful and aggressive a little bit just right off the bat, which to me I found actually pretty surprising. And so then we start to get into the exhibits, and it's just a bunch of photographs, particularly from Mia's private Instagram account, from Mia's account. And so we're seeing photos from back in 2013 where it's an image of Mia on social media from her personal account. Her face is blurred in, so we don't see her real face necessarily. But we see a caption of what we do when you're not around. And Mia's holding just kind of some bottles of Ciroc. Obviously, Diddy used to represent Ciroc as far as brand deals is concerned, and she hashtagged it Ciroc. The defense says, well, this was 4 years ago after your employment and after years of your sexual assault. And they were really kind of trying to drive the point that you had all these different photos with these really nice captions to Diddy. But again, these were years after this sexual assault occurred. And they specifically pointed out that this exhibit from November 4th of 2013. So this would have been a few years after the first sexual assault that happened at Diddy's birthday party over at that penthouse here in New York. And we see an exhibit photo from that same day, but in 2013, where it's a photo of Mia kind of pretending to be giving birth. Diddy's in a doctor's costume. And it was like I think it was a Funny or Die video that they were doing because Andy Samberg was directing it. And Mia wrote in this caption, last non-B-Day shout out to my mentor at I Am Diddy. Thank you for letting me give birth to my dreams. And Brian Steele was like, you posed with your rapist pretending to give birth. And it was really just kind of like, whoa. And I will say this, Jesse, is that when Brian Steele was like, oh, well, you were posing with your rapist, I saw one of the jurors just look from down to just being looked.
Chat, I'm stepping out, just getting this phone call real quick. It's a really important one, all right?
Directing these
just keep
questioning.
watching.
And so we saw a whole bunch of different photos. I would essentially call it a photo dump because it was just a lot of photos from Mia's personal Instagram account where she has posed either with Cassie or she's posed with Diddy, and she's tagging Diddy in these photos and saying very nice things of either happy birthday or I'm so glad to be around you or I'm so glad you're my mentor. You continue to like kind of build me up, these types of things. And so, and that's kind of where we kind of were leaving off with, because it really was just a number of different exhibits. And I'm sure when we return from the lunch break, we'll see a whole lot more too.
By the way, we put up a poll. Do you think the jury will be impacted positively or negatively by Mia's social media posts of Diddy? 51% say positively, 48% say negatively. Very interesting. Before I let you go, Elizabeth, there's one concrete question I had outside of Mia. I don't know if you can answer it. Before she even got back on the stand, there was a back and forth regarding charts. And I think that's important, charts with respect to the prosecution, the defense, and the judge, because I think it had something to do with whether or not maybe male escorts were transported for purposes of these freak-offs, which, by the way, we don't talk about it enough. Transportation to engage in prostitution is another series of charges Combs is facing, transporting alleged victims and sex workers for purposes of sex work. What was going on there about the charts, if you know? I'm just curious.
Yeah, it was kind of a moment that stuck out to me this morning. It was outside of the presence of the jury. And a lot of people, I will say, weren't taking notes because I don't think they realized kind of how important this possibly might be. But it was about the summary charts, specifically about the summary charts and the summary witness that is going to be kind of testifying towards the tail end of the government's case. And so the defense was kind of complaining about the government's summary charts and how they don't like that there's a category which labels the different men as escorts in this particular category when they're kind of comparing the flights as well as the hotel reservations. They said that they don't necessarily connect that this particular escort may have gone to the hotel, and they use the escort named Jules as an example of this. And so they said this is essentially, they said that this is pretty much just some travel records and that it doesn't necessarily prove anything. However, the government said, well, we can take out this category of escorts, but we still need to keep the names in. But the summary witness will pretty much say that that there was messages sent either from Cassie or from Diddy. I'm going to a hotel on this date, and then a flight would kind of correspond with these hotel reservations. And so that was kind of the gist of those discussions that happened outside of the presence of the jury this morning.
Elizabeth Milner, great reporting as always. I know you need to jump back in there. Thank you so much for your level of detail, being our eyes and ears. Great job as always.
Thanks, Jesse.
You got it. Okay, I want to continue the conversation. We have more questions coming in from our amazing audience, so we're going to continue with Nest Dog with his super chat question. Nest Dog, thank you so much. You've been so supportive as we've been doing these lunchtime shows, so thank you so much. I'll throw it to you, Serena. Does it still show the power dynamic aspect? Cassie, Deontay Nash, CC, probably Cassie, and currently Mia continue to associate with Puff. What do you make of that?
Yes, I do. I think that the defense is going to want to use that to say otherwise, that it's going to show voluntariness on their part. You know, now that there's no further connection or either relationship or employment connection, they still choose to continue to be around P. Diddy. But if one believes all of the things that he did to each of these people, and that each of these people still continued to associate themselves with him, then yeah, I think it's a fair argument for the prosecution to say that does go to show just how much power he has. And remember, just because somebody doesn't have a signed contract with somebody anymore, or, you know, an actual physical or emotional relationship with somebody anymore, does not necessarily mean that they lose their power over that person. This is a man with a ton of money, a ton of connections, and these are people who still operate within the same field, you know, the music business, videos, things like that. So he still could have had a ton of power over them, over their careers, and even over their safety.
There was a number of assistants who testified that they didn't get involved when they allegedly saw Combs beating up Cassandra Ventura. You had Capricorn Clark, who allegedly called Cassie's mom and said, like, I can't call. He's beating your daughter up. You can do something. And that, I think, helps explain or try to explain why Cassie, alleged victim number one, didn't do any, didn't leave him, didn't report his behavior to authorities. Because again, I go back to this, I say it so many times, but I think it's something the prosecution is going to really focus on. If the jury believes Dawn Richard's testimony that Cassie was beat up by Sean Combs in front of Usher and Neo and Jimmy Iovine, and nobody does anything, and that none of the assistants do anything, it goes to the power of Sean Combs. It goes to, what do you expect Cassie to do in this situation when she does not have that level of power or wealth or influence to do something? And again, the defense has a great defense here. I mean, they really are trying to strike at the credibility here, but But at the same point, these are power dynamics and issues that I think the jury is going to wrestle with. Now, Tyler, I want to go to a question that I didn't get a chance to get to. This whole thing that Mia had testified to, that D-Rock reached out to her, Diddy reached out to her, February 2024, right? After Cassie filed her lawsuit. If I go to the racketeering charge and I look at all of the underlying crimes, prosecution needs to prove at least two. There is bribery of a witness and there is tampering with a witness, victim, or informant. Is that what this is?
It's not outright that, from what we can see. It could be argued by the prosecution that the attempts to contact her when they had an idea that there was possibly some federal or other criminal charges going to be coming down on Mr. Combs, that he was trying to influence her one way. But I think that the fact that they had their prior relationship, professional relationship, and other forms of relationship, that there could be excuse as to why he was reaching out to her. It crosses the line. If that was my client at that time, I would advise him definitely do not reach out to anybody who could be a witness in this case, because the last thing you want is a witness tampering charge. It could be used, but it looks like he was dancing around it carefully here, and it could distract the jury from all the underlying strong evidence I believe the prosecution has.
And we all know he was accused by the government of engaging in shenanigans while he's behind bars at the MDC, allegedly using the operating systems to contact people he shouldn't be contacting. Let me just throw another question to you, Tyler. This is from Ivan Romero. Has there been a RICO trial specifically for labor law violations? It seems like this would set a very important precedent for these types of violations, if not. Has there been a RICO trial specifically for labor law violations? If you want to answer that, but also, do you think forced labor has been proven at this point in the trial as one of the underlying crimes of RICO?
I think forced labor has been proved. I think the government has put on a strong case of it. Just listen to Mia's testimony about the calls in Australia, or for the fact that she worked for 5 days without sleep and she was raped during that time that she has testified to. That's a strong case of forced labor. And even you're looking at the transporting of prostitutes, there's a lot that we see for sex trafficking and forced labor. But to answer that specific question regarding a RICO charge for forced labor, I'm not specifically aware of those, but I do know there have been cases regarding Backpage and some hotels operators who have been charged with forced labor, forced prostitution for those type of operations. And there's probably some precedent already out there on it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, even the idea of, not only the hours that they worked, but the idea of what the consequences would be. And you go back to David James' testimony, who said basically Combs blackmailed him, that he had video of him dancing around on drugs and, said, I'm going to keep this, And so this is all adds to a different narrative. Okay, I go to a question right now, Serena, that I think is why people have a lot of interest in this case. I think it's almost like Epstein. It's who's going to be named, who's going to testify. And with a sealed witness list, we don't know exactly, which is why Angelo Ignacio asks, do you think they will bring in some of Diddy's exes? Do you think they will bring in some of Diddy's exes like Jennifer Lopez to see how he treated them? What do you think? Jennifer Lopez, other exes going to testify here?
I love that question. I don't think J-Lo is going to take the stand. I'd love for her to. That would be very cool. What the trial has to focus on is these exact charges. And what a prosecution is allowed to bring up has to be in relation to those charges, and they cannot be too prejudicial. What you're trying to essentially say is that you want to hear about other things that he's done in the past, prior bad acts. And there's a very fine line under the law what a judge will allow with respect to prior bad acts, because if it tips over to what we like to call propensity evidence, which is not allowed, which is evidence to say to a jury like, hey, this guy is just a really bad guy. He's done bad stuff in the past, and therefore you should just not give him the benefit of the doubt. You should assume that he's doing bad things now because he's done bad things before. That is a big no-no in the law. It's covered a lot. I know Jesse brought up the Harvey Weinstein case. That's why the Weinstein case got overturned, because they did too much of exactly that. So I don't think we're going to hear too much about his exes unless they have relevant testimony that exceeds the prejudicial value of their testimony.
Serena, I'm going to give you another question because I gave Tyler 2 questions. This is from Green Yoshi. Is there another kind of Yoshi? I thought Yoshi was always green, but I'm wrong. Okay, green Yoshi. Can footage from making the band be used against him?
I love that question too. Again, it goes towards, prior acts. And so if its relevance far exceeds its prejudicial value, then it's fair game. So depending on the things that were recorded, remember, there's probably a ton of tapes and a ton of recordings that we didn't see. There's a lot of stuff that gets recorded that doesn't necessarily get broadcast. So if there's information on those videos that could corroborate the charges in this case and that are relevant to the case rather than purely prejudicial against him, like, oh, he just made lewd comments or said mean things to people, it has to be directly relevant. So, if that exists, then it could potentially be an exhibit.
Yeah, this is not an indictment on his character. The defense is going to say he might have been a tough boss, he might have been mean, he might have screamed. You might even say that he assaulted people, but that doesn't necessarily prove sex trafficking or racketeering or transportation to engage in prostitution. They're going to be very, very specific about these charges. And I think, I've said it before, I've said it again, I think this entire case comes down to closing arguments. How you explain what the law is, how each side says it either matches up to the elements or not. It's a confusing case. I think if you're sitting in this jury, they're trying to take away what they have to take away. I don't think they've put all the pieces together. It's not like a murder case. We're like, okay, I see where the prosecution and defense are going, whether this person did it or not. This is complicated. I mean, racketeering has so many different parts to it. Okay, Tyler, this is a question from Nlind DK. Will anyone from HR testify? Doesn't their lack of doing their job, accountability in relation to all the complaints support RICO? It's an interesting question.
That is a good question. Most always look at HR as the underlying operation for the corporation. They are really on the side of the business, not necessarily on the side of the employee. If they had information, let's say someone who's head of an ER who knew about specific facts that are furthering the prosecution's case, I could see somebody from the prosecution and the government calling one of them as witnesses, but they may not be aware to this because it seems like Mr. Combs had his own underlying criminal operation that he was running with other folks like D-Rock or those who were closer to him, and he kind of kept some things away from Bad Boy to Business. We heard testimony early on about how some things were written off as transactions from Bad Boy, but other things were paid for with cash. So it shows that Mr. Combs was selective on how he ran his operations, some going through his business, but some he was taking care of under the table, for lack of better words.
I mean, David James testified that when he started the job, a member of HR told him, this is Sean Combs' kingdom, we're all here to serve it. So, if that person testifies and says that, that would be important. Again, racketeering, criminal enterprise, common purpose, everybody, agreement to further criminal activity. That would be helpful, I would imagine. Okay, you mentioned pay. So now I go to Serena. We got a question from Patty D. Since they're bringing up pay, do you think the prosecution will submit any kinds of payroll information to support how little they were paid versus hours?
I think that would be a great idea. I think obviously part of the argument, as we've been discussing, is the fact that it's a labor relation issue, right? They're working, them to the bone. They're not sleeping. They're calling at all hours of the night. And this low amount of pay doesn't reflect the amount of expectations, the high expectations that were submitted there. And so in order to support their claims, the prosecution's claims, and really in any charge, in order to support testimony, it would be a very good idea to have black and white evidence, paper trail evidence, receipts, payroll. I do think that if they have information like that, if they have low pay and it's documented somewhere, that of course assumes that it was documented somewhere and that the government got their hands on it, then sure, anything that could buttress the testimony of a witness to help their credibility would be a great exhibit to show to a jury.
By the way, so not only are we taking your questions right now in real time, but also in real time, as soon as they come back, as soon as that testimony continues, I will be relaying to you what is happening in real time. I'll report it in real time, and we will break down the legal significance of this questioning in real time. But we got more questions coming in. This one's from Ashley Glass. I throw it to you, Tyler. I know I have asked recently, but again, D-Rock is mentioned multiple times in this case. Why haven't we seen him on the stand?
drum roll. We don't know. He could be called sometime next. I think D-Rock will eventually show up in this case. He seems to be intimately involved with Mr. Combs' affairs. You've heard Mia talk about fielding phone calls from him. I wouldn't be surprised if he's called by the government at some point in this case.
Got a Leg 7K, who's been so generous with their questions and always engaging in the conversation, says, no questioning for me today, Jesse. Okay, well, maybe Monday. Serena got a question from Q4554Q. I like what they did there. Why did we know so much about this case, but nothing about Epstein? Okay, throw a little curveball at you.
Okay, I love the curveball. I love, making these kind of assumptions on these cases. I think that, first of all, I mean, it is a really good question. I think maybe there were more people willing to leak information in the Diddy case. Maybe it's spread out to more.
My bad. I was doing some shit. I ain't gonna lie. That was actually low key. That was an update on ooh. Okay, cool. Thank you. Okay. Oh, no. Yeah, no, I just got an update on some legal shit. Well, criminal shit, I guess. Remember the whole home invasion shit? So I finally got an update on it. Detectives called me. They're like, niggas is going to jail. I'm like, I told them. I said I had a suit ready. I was ready to tell. I was trying to get my YSL Woody on. They said the girl snitched on her boyfriend. She's going to be state witness. And the other two dudes signed pleas. So one nigga's down there in Virginia. He going to get, I think they say he about to get like close to 10. And the other bum ass nigga finna get like 5. When they officially put it in. But yeah, so I ain't gonna lie, I'm not that happy about it. I was trying to get them niggas 25. I would have been up on the stand crying. Fuck Cassie. I would have been, oh my God. I would have been up there. They should have had me up there. I would have been on the stand. I would have shown y'all how to handle. I would have shown y'all how to tell. I would have shown y'all how to tell. I would have been up there. Oh my God. I would have been good. Anyway. Okay. All right. Well, my opportunity to really take the stand is gonna have to wait. All right. I'm guessing you guys saw the update. I probably missed a little bit of it. It looks we should be back in court now. I'm gonna continue. Let me continue the reading of these tweets. And let's see. This is a break. Okay, so they had a break then. Okay. Wait. All right. So they had break for lunch here. All right, an hour ago, and then they came back when? What? Why is my time so fucked up? Am I tripping? Or did I not stop at the lunch part? What the fuck? Okay. Good. All right. They're back. So, Judge asked Ms. Smyser if need anything. Smyser says they just gave us a video that they intend to use in violation of a court order. Judge says Mr. Steele. Steele says it's a very short video. It's a happy birthday to Mr. Combs in 2014. It shows her demeanor. So they want to play a video of Mia who's wishing happy birthday to Diddy years after the alleged sexual assault. The judge says it's cumulative. Why wasn't this turned over earlier? Combs still says, I only got it last night. It's a video and audio. The court should know I gave over impeachment days ago. I don't do that. I know the court doesn't know me. The judge says, how long? It's 8 seconds. AUSA says, no, it's 20 seconds. And they gave us exhibits before and after this one, 1749, 1751. I don't know why they withheld this one. The judge is saying, I don't understand what you just said. Why? When did you decide to use it? Steele says yesterday. They actually exclude it. Shapiro says, I understand it's 30 seconds. So this is the appellate judge, the appellate lawyer really for Diddy. I understand it's 30 seconds. It shows her different than how she's presented herself here. The judge says, when was it marked with a number? Says, I don't know. We had to redact it. The judge says, when did the defense team review it? Yesterday. The judge says, why was it not reviewed? Shapiro says, we didn't think of it until we saw how she presented herself. The judge says, how is that possible? Agnifilio. So like all the Diddy's lawyers are jumping in. They want this video admitted of this woman seeming elated, looking like she loves Puff, because she's on the stand clearly making it seem like Puff's the monster. Agnifilio says, let me try. The judge says, the court order said you have to establish good cause. That's why I'm asking. Shapiro says, no. We cannot have multiple lawyers speaking on the same issue. And so you're finally seeing what's happening. Like the multiple lawyers for Diddy, they're almost stepping on each other's toes. It says, you can ask her, did you send this video? If she says yes, it's not impeachment. Agnifilo says, I saw it yesterday. Her effect on the stand might be an act. Agnifilo says, we had our talk with our client. So they're talking about Diddy. They talked to Diddy. We think the witness effect is false. I think someone has determined who she is and sent us the video. Huh? I think someone has determined who she is and said, take 5 minutes to confer. Then answer on why there is good cause. If someone sent it to you at 1 a.m. Remember, she's supposed to be private. The judge says, can we just email everyone on our position? The judge says, sure. Okay, cool. Shapiro then says, some people on the internet think they've figured out who Mia is. We got this video from random people on the internet. We don't think this was posted on her social media. It was on some random website. Should we show it to you? So, chat, I ain't gonna lie to you. Us figuring out who she is now into court. Chat, congratulations. We've made it into court. We've actually made it into court, chat. I told y'all were good. So apparently a video that came out, and by the way, we have a video. Somebody just actually sent me a video of her. They said something that we haven't seen before. I guess it's floating around. Maybe this is the video in question. Let me pull it up. Let me pull it up. Got it. Oh, it's the exact same thing. It's exactly what they're talking about in court. Look, it's called D-Brack Sarah wishing Puff. Yeah, so it's definitely Sarah. Yeah, we figured it out. Look, here we go.
Shameless plug. Gotta put my lip gloss on. Poppin'! Puff Daddy, the living legend himself. You have not only revolutionized the game, but the entire world.
Got her, chat. Come on, man. Ain't nothing bigger than the chat, man. Even the judge gotta pay homage, man. Even the judge gotta pay homage. They in court saying how they figure it out. Yes. Nothing bigger than the chat.
I'm so blessed to call you my friend. Thank you for truly being one of the biggest inspirations in my life. To another 44 years of brilliance. Let's fuck shit up. I love you. Happy birthday. Bravo.
I see why they would think this is necessary to bring into court. Yeah, her demeanor here, now granted, I'm pretty sure the AUSA is going to be like, yeah, even though she was raped, you know what I mean, she still had a little spunk about her. Remember, she's testifying, and this is why I think it's relevant. That's why the prosecutors are not prosecutors, the defense attorneys want to bring it in. They want to bring this in because she's saying, Diddy ruined me. I was done. I was like dead and gone. I'm finished. Basically meaning, she says, yes, PTSD, she can't work. So she can't work because Diddy raped her. But this is her after the rape saying, let's fuck shit up, Diddy. Let's go. Like, you know, this is years after. Come on. So what she's now testifying that she's now depressed. She's been like really in her mind about all of this is like, well, why'd you make this video then? It does make sense. I'll run it again. By the way, this is the video that's being talked about in court.
Shameless plug. Gotta put my lip gloss on. Poppin'! Puff Daddy, the living legend himself, you have not only revolutionized the game, but the entire world. I'm so blessed to call you my friend. Thank you for truly being one of the biggest inspirations in my life. To another 44 years of brilliance, let's fuck shit up. I love you.
All right. Chat, let me play this real quick.
Day 13.
I gotta grab food. I did order food too.
Of the Diddy trial, and if you are the state, you're probably very pleased with the way things have been unfolding so far today. I am Joe Neerman, aka Good Logic. I'm a New York litigator who has practiced in this very courthouse. I am attending the Diddy trial every day, so I can come to you and break down with a legal analysis as to what the vibe is in the courtroom, how the different strategies of the defense and the state are proceeding, and give you a feel as to what's going on inside a trial that few people in the world will ever bear witness to. Now, we spent much of yesterday with Mia on the stand. Mia is the pseudonym for a personal assistant who worked for Diddy from the period of 2009-2017, and she alleges that there were multiple forms of abuse that she sustained at Diddy's hand. Those forms of abuse include psychological abuse, emotional abuse, financial abuse, sexual abuse. She told over many stories of how hard she had to work, that the first day she worked for him, that she worked for more than 24 hours, and that sometimes she had to work up to 5 days straight with no sleep, and that she could never leave his eye line. And the objective of bringing her testimony in here, from the state's perspective, on certainly one hand here, is in support of the RICO claims. Now, under RICO, forced labor is a potential crime that can support a RICO charge, and they want to say that if she felt forced to abide by his onerous demands, that should qualify as being forced labor, and accordingly could be a valid element towards helping support a RICO charge. So we've heard a lot of stories about just how abusive Diddy can be and how he can be a jerk as a boss. And if you're listening to even 10 minutes of the testimony, it's very evident that he can be a jerk of a boss, like a very, very abusive boss. Before he starts getting physical, and then you hear about the physical elements to it, how he slammed the door on her arm multiple times, how he's throwing things at her, from a computer to an ice bucket, throwing her in a pool, chasing her around, taking her phone from her, and then ultimately to the sexual abuse. We closed out the direct testimony with her asking about the last time that Diddy texted her, which was roughly a year ago, around the time that these indictments first came down, and that she said when she saw the text, she had to throw her phone because she's been so traumatized by him and terrorized by him, and can't even look at a text message from him, even though it was a warm text message, because she was like, I knew that it was a lie and that he just wants something from me. And then finally she was asked, are you able to work? And she said, no, I have PTSD, and that got objected to. And the objection led to a rephrasing of the question so she can give a different answer. And she said, I try to work, but I can't. If I work, if I'm at work and someone asks me, where are you? I get an email saying, where are you? I get flashbacks to what happened with Diddy. If someone calls my name out loud from across the room, I get flashbacks and I start getting triggered and freaking out and terrorized and wondering what I did wrong. And I can't function in a work environment now. And who caused this? Puffy. That's how we closed out the direct testimony. Now, the cross-examination is being conducted by Brian Steele, and his style is rather different from the cross-examinations we've seen of other key witnesses that have come forward so far during this trial. We've seen Tenny Geragos, who handled the cross-examination of Cassie Ventura, and we've seen Agnifilo also cross-examining some of the other key witnesses, and the style that they've employed when they're dealing with someone who comes across as being traumatized, and Mia certainly comes across as being highly traumatized when she's talking about any form of the abuse. Not all the time, sometimes she can be gregarious, but when she's talking about any form of the abuse, she looks broken and small, and she seems like she can't even say words, that she's humiliated to talk about even the abuse, much less the sexual abuse, which she can get out 6 words, and they're very broad, vague words, like he put inside me. She can't describe body parts when she's talking about that. That's how traumatized she comes across as being. It seems to me and many others who are watching this, it seems very sincere when she's talking about it. I'm certainly not passing judgment at all. No one should mistake what my portrayal now. I was trying to help convey the tone and nature, which is very different from the other times when she's talking, where she can seem relatively confident. She come across as being relatively confident. Now, I started talking about the cross-examination styles of Geragos and Agnifilo, and how when they would approach these witnesses, who had been victims, who had been terrorized and claimed to be terrorized by Diddy, their style was very conversational, like fact gathering, like police taking down, and then what happened, and then what happened, and why did you go here, and then what did you do? And isn't it weird that you did this? Like a People magazine interview, or like a police taking down information. That has not been the approach of Brian Steele, though, when it comes to Mia. Not at all. No, he came out kind of swinging, where he's like, so Diddy terrorized you? Yeah, and you say that he caused you emotional abuse? Yes. And psychological abuse? Yes. And financial abuse? Yes. And sexual abuse? Yes. And you're traumatized. You think about this every single day, right? Yes. And you're terrorized by him, aren't you? You're just completely terrorized by him. Every day you can't stop thinking about it. Yes. Well, okay. And it was like this throughout the time that you were there? Yeah. Yeah, well, here it is. Here you are 4 years into your employment, and you're writing posts about how you love him, about how he's your close friend forever, and you close it out, and he would have her read off these text messages designed, and he's like, and so let's read this post. You have a picture of you and the man who terrorized you. And what's her response? Her response has been, frankly, excellent from the perspective of the state. She seems very confident to read these posts, which she posted on her personal Instagram, and not at all uncomfortable, embarrassed about it, shy about it, or regretful about what she posted. And he's like, so here he is. He's like, can you read this off? And she's like, you're the king, you're the legend. It's such an honor to be working with you. Every day is a thrill. Love you. And she reads it in that tone, the way people who would be reading the Instagram message would likely read it. And he's like, so that's the man who you're traumatized by. She's like, yes, that's right. That's right. And then she'd show her another post, and she's like, this is Instagram. That's what people do on Instagram. You only write about, you're trying to present a life that's not true. That's better than your actual real life is. That's how people use Instagram. And plus, I know I'm being followed by many of his fans. I know that my family is going to see it. I want everyone to think that I'm having a great life. And yeah, every post here, I'm praising him. And that's how they all read. I also know he's going to see it. And I certainly don't want him upset with me. All of this rings true to those of us those people I discussed it with. It just comes across as, yeah, that's what people do on Instagram. You're not really making any sort of hay, and just because she's writing stuff on Instagram, that, you know, if anyone thinks that that's a genuine reflection of life, well, that just shows their naivete and their lack of internet 101. So in that sense, I feel that so far she's been holding up exceptionally well. She's been tested by Brian. In contrast to the other attorneys who would sort of be dancing around as to how do I get to information that I want to get without potentially crushing this witness or looking like I'm bullying this witness who the jury likely thinks is a victim already. His approach with this witness, who on the direct seemed the most vulnerable of all, his approach of Brian Steele is more direct than anything we've seen from the defense, and frankly, she's handling it without any sort of hesitation or uncomfortability, and presenting herself very well and very, very logically that this is what people do. She was asked, how do you handle if you're traumatized by this? Do you think about this every day? Well, yeah, you can't get it out of your mind. Well, when you're there, you don't seem to be thinking about it every day. You're posting this your own personal Instagram. She's like, you can't. She goes, you never forget it, but you can't think about it. Otherwise, you get punished. And that was another way of her flipping the question into actually helping support the point that the state wants the jury to take away, which is you have to put up a front. That's part of the compulsory element of working for Diddy. All in all, so far, I would tell you that she seems to be very well prepped by the state. Very well prepped. She said that she met with him, Brian Steele alleges, 25 times, and they seem to have her very well prepped for how to handle and present herself as someone who is working past these issues now. In fact, when she was asked, how do you cope with this on a day-by-day basis if it's so terrorizing that you can't function? So she's like, you try to put it out of your mind. Ask my therapist. I don't know, I'm not an expert on psychologically how people handle these things. I'll just tell you that you try to put it out of your mind, you try to move along. So that's what we got so far. Like I said, she's handling herself very well so far. It'd be interesting to see how she holds up over the rest of the day. We do expect this cross-examination to last through the balance of the afternoon. If you like this type of content, please like, share, subscribe, drop a comment. It really, really helps the algorithm, and it makes me feel good. So I'd appreciate it if you could do that. Until next time, take care, Godspeed.
Interesting.
He hasn't taken the stand yet either to put himself up there and remind people that he is presumed innocent until he's found guilty by a jury. He does not have to present any evidence. It's up to the prosecution's job to present their case and get these criminal charges proved beyond a reasonable doubt. So if he does get on the stand, yes, they could say that Mr. Combs is acting. Now, there could be you could insinuate that the clothes that he's wearing, that people have described, he looks somewhat like Bill Cosby as Mr. Huxtable, right, in the Cosby Show, versus the mere Sean Puffy Combs that people are used to. I could see that, but he's not on the stand here. He's sitting at the table as the defendant, trying to talk to his counsel about how they can discredit any witness that gets on the stand for the prosecution.
So quick update from court. Judge, you can give it to them. Judge says you can give it to them for a couple of minutes. Bring Mia back in. Then the jury, the witness enters, jury enters. Okay, Combs, Brian Steele asks, what is the Breakfast Club? Mia says, the name of our camp, Puff's friend group, still partying at breakfast. I was invited in once. Okay, really interesting back and forth today. What a development. But man, I had an all-star panel. Serena Townsend, Tyler Bailey, thank you both so much for coming on. Your expertise, second to none. Just amazing having you both here to answer these questions. Thank you both so much, and have a great weekend. We can't wait to have you guys back here on the show.
Thank you, Jesse.
And everybody, thank you so much for the amazing questions. Again, we plan to do this lunchtime show for you every day of this testimony. We'll update you in real time about what's happening in court. We will be taking your questions because this is a complicated case, especially with no cameras or audio equipment. We'll do our best to do it. And by the way, one of the reasons that we can do this, one of the reasons we can put on a show like this, is because we get amazing support, not only from you guys, but our incredible partner and sponsor, Morgan & Morgan.
Okay. America's all right, bet. My bad. That was every time I eat pasta, like pasta and chicken, I only eat the chicken and a little bit of the pasta. All right, anyway. Cool. Perfect. We are back. I ate. I'm good. I'm chilling. I'm starting to drink now. We're only 3 hours in. I'm wired off that coffee, though. Damn, still. Okay. Let's see. Let's get back into the tweets. Okay, cool. Okay, so it says it was on some random white websites. Should we show it to you? It's shown, but it's not public. It's already been redacted, they say, so why not on the public screen for blah, blah, blah. I guess that's what Matthew Russell's saying. They said they waited until our direct was over. The judge says, when did the defense see it? Shapiro says, yesterday. The judge says, when was it, March 1750? Shapiro says, I don't know. He said, the video is precluded. Ooh, so they don't allow it. So after the number of social media posts the defense has used is cumulative, the defense theory is dubious, okay? Steele says, can I ask if she sent it? Judge says, yes. Steele says, I'm going to ask about scrapbooks. Prosecutors and I have disagreement. I have 3 copies, one for the jurors to pass around. The honorable prosecutor and I disagree. The judge says, you could give it to them for a couple of minutes, bring Mia back in the jury. Mia gets back on there, okay? Steele says, what is the Breakfast Club? Mia says, that's the name of our camp. Puff's friend group still parties at breakfast. I was once invited in. Steele says, this message is from South Africa. You pounded hashtag this Diddy fan club? Or you hashtagged, right? You hashtagged this Diddy fan club? She said, yes. It was ran by a girl who shamelessly promoted Puff. She was so sweet. Steele says, he supposedly drugged and raped you on his birthday, November 4th. How did you not mark that? Okay. Mia says, I wanted to forget it. I pushed it down or suppressed it. Steele says, are you finished? She says, yes. He says, you put it aside and say you saw Mr. Combs abuse your sister, your best friend. Cassie, and you put it aside and post this? She said, yes. It said, you wrote this? It says, Puff at iHeart. Then Steele says, what are you doing here? Mia says, promoting Puff's appearance on Blackish. It's a comedy show. Steele says, were you aware of the Me Too movement? That was a great movement, right? She said, yes. He said, what were these? He said, me and Puff at Burning Man, then on Blackish. Steele says, you love Miss Ventura, right? You meant every word on your social media account about her, right? She says, I didn't mean every word on my account, but I do love Cass. Steele says, what's this? Mia says, a pop-up shop for D-Rock's brand, Invisible Bully. Steele says, you promoted Mr. Combs? She says, yes. Steele says, you're saying this is not the way you felt. AUSA says, objection, argumentative. Judge says, sustain. Steele says, how about you are the best unicorn rock star alien? Mia says, I was trying to say it unique. Chat, maybe they weren't fucking. I don't know why I thought they were fucking, but this chick does weird. She talks in a very different type of lingo. Steele says, who are the people in this photo? Mia says, Mama Combs, Christian, D-Rock, Fahim, and Tron. It says, during these IDs, Combs is whispering to Agnifilo. Steele says, you worked through March 2017, right? Mia says, yeah, it was confusing. Steele says, on December 6th, you were notified? So December 6th, 2016, you're notified, right? I guess she was notified that she was fired. Okay. This is supposed to be her last day of testimony. So there's Mr. Steele is supposed to be done in an hour or so, and then the cross and the redirect and the recross is supposed to take probably 30 minutes each. So we're gonna see how quickly they get done with that. Okay. Interesting. Okay. All right, we're waiting for more tweets.
Day 13.
Where did that video come from? Yeah, right here.
Hey, yo, I just want to say happy birthday, man, to one of the hardest working brothers, man, that I know in life, man. And this ain't just because he's my man, because at one time he wasn't. This is just because, man.
So now we get to see who was around that time. By the way, this was 2013. Looked like they had made a video that they could probably play at his party or something like that, you know? So this is the video, the culmination. Let's play from the top.
Dear Dad.
Y'all, this is Rock Boy Barnes. Salute. Hey, yo, I just want to say happy birthday, man, to one of the hardest working brothers, man, that I know in life, man. And this ain't just because he's my man, because at one time he wasn't. This is just because, man, he's a great inspiration, man. And he's a great father, man. He's a great brother, man. He's a great boss, man. He's a great everything, man. Salute to you, Diddy. May you have many, many more, man. From Swap Boy South, man, Swap Boy Barnes. Love you, brother. Peace.
Yeah, Diddy has to use this video for, let's say Roger Bonds, who's a security, let's say he takes a stand. I think he's going to have to be like, so, hey, you guys recorded videos saying that this guy was a really good guy. Why would you do that?
We come to these places, we take over. We come, we fuck shit up, and we leave. It's the day that you were given life.
I see it's your number one fan here, Makisha, all the way from Jersey. Just wanted to send you some love on your birthday. My wish for you in this new year in life is much joy, much happiness, more success if that's even possible. And I pray that God showers you abundantly with his many blessings. I love you much.
I appreciate everything that you do. Every single day I wish I could spend it with you like it's your birthday. Like it's your birthday. And when you're gone, you're working. We know you gotta hustle. Long as you with us, we make sure you stay out of trouble. It's your birthday. Let's celebrate cause it's your birthday. Oh,
Hey yo, what's good? It's your boy D Dot here. Just want to wish the big homie Diddy a very special happy birthday. May God bless you with many more. Thanks for being a constant inspiration to not only the younger generation, but to everybody in general. Just letting us know that anything is possible with constant hard work and dedication. Keeping our faith in God. Bad boy Revolt TV, Ciroc Boys, Aqua Hydrate all day, every day. Let's work.
birthday. I love you. I love you. I do. I do. And it's enough.
Yo, it's your boy Dylan Dillinger, cooling out right now, and I want to send a very, very special and happy boss day to the real boss, the boss of Boston. Shout out to Sean Combs, my mentor, the original boss. You already know, Dylan, Bad Boy alumni. That's all day, every day. Revolt to the world! You done know already. You know I go straight here.
Power of press and record. The power of press and record and bearing your soul is the revolution, you know what I'm saying? Telling the truth. The truth shall set you free. You gotta tell the fucking truth. If that shit is hot, that shit is hot, this shit is whack, fuck that shit. Happy birthday.
Shout out to Diddy. Shout out to Club Diddy. Happy birthday, Diddy.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Just saying happy birthday. Wishing you a happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Daddy. This is your biggest fan from beautiful island, Curacao.
And I'm thankful for this day. It's the day that you were given life. And I thank God for it every night. Wishing you a happy birthday.
Hey, what up, Buffy? It's your biggest fan from Italy, Francesca. But everybody knows me as K-Girl. I just wanted to wish you a happy birthday because you deserve it and because you inspire every day of my life. So, I just can say thank you so much for everything that you have done in this world. But I also want to thank Club Diddy who gave me this amazing honor to make this video for your birthday. So anyway, I hope you enjoy your day. I hope you enjoy this video, and much love from me, Lily Puffy. Happy birthday again. Bye.
Oh, happy birthday. Happy birthday. Wishing my dad a happy birthday. It's your birthday.
Okay. It's only 2 videos on this page.
Shameless plug. Gotta put my lip gloss on. Poppin'! Puff Daddy, the living legend himself. You have not only revolutionized the game, but the entire world. I'm so blessed to call you my friend. Thank you for truly being one of the biggest inspirations in my life. To another 44 years of brilliance, let's fuck shit up. I love you. Happy birthday. Revolt.
Okay. Interesting. Let me look around on this account if there's anything else. Fan club. Let's look at fan club. Fan club and favorites.
Parents, the missus out.
Oh, these are music videos.
But today is just like, I mean, this last like 2 weeks, I've just been blown away by all the support, you know what I'm saying, that I've gotten from you guys, you know. You already know I deal with a lot of hate, and I talk about that, but it's also important to talk about when I'm dealing with a lot of love. And the love y'all have shown me and the girls on this project, y'all made this project a success. And I want to say thank you, you know.
Hey, yo, what up, world? It's your boy Diddy. It's been a minute. I had to chill off the blogs.
Yo, somebody says the gayest happy birthday song of all time. Chat, it's a reason why that Quincy nigga just went into acting. I think he tried, he's like, oh, well, my daddy's like a musician. He don't write rhymes, he write checks. I could write some checks. Fuck the rhymes, let me just try to sing. Nah.
Like a good year and a half, man. Been in the studio making that last Train to Paris album. Album's done. I'm back out.
Wait, who said it? Y'all want to hear the birthday song, yeah? Happy birthday. Y'all want it again?
Y'all, this is Rock Boy Bond. Salute to you, Diddy. May you have many, many more, man. From Swap Boy South, man.
Oh, this shit?
Love you, bro. Peace.
We come to these places.
I love
Day, I wish I could spend it with you like it's your birthday.
Okay.
Like it's your birthday.
God damn it, huh?
And when you're gone, you're working. We know you gotta hustle. Long as you with us, we make sure you stay out of trouble. It's your birthday. Let's celebrate cause it's your birthday. Oh.
Hey, yo, what's good?
Somebody say, I ain't gonna lie, this shit hard as a bitch.
Boy D out here. Just want to wish the big homie Diddy a very special happy birthday. May God bless you with many more. Thanks for being a constant inspiration to not only the younger generation, but to everybody in general. Just letting us know that anything is possible with constant hard work and dedication. Keeping our faith in God. Bad Boy, Revolt TV, Ciroc Boys, Aqua Hydrate all day, every day. Let's work.
Birthday, I love you, I love you, I do, and it's enough.
Yo, it's your boy Dylan Dillinger, cooling out right now, and I want to send a very, very special and happy boss day to the real boss, the boss of Boston. Shout out to Sean Cole.
Yo, y'all niggas fucking with this shit.
My mentor.
So look up the video of Diddy singing happy birthday to French. I look it up too.
Original boss, you already know. Dylan, Bad Boy alumni. That's all day, every day. Revolt to the world! You done know already. You know how it go. Straight. Yeah.
Power of press and record. The power of press and record and bearing your soul is the revolution, you know what I'm saying? Telling the truth shall set you free. You gotta tell the fucking truth. If that shit is hot, that shit is hot, this shit is whack, fuck that shit.
Sing hot, this shit hot.
Happy birthday.
Shout out to Diddy. Shout out to Club Diddy. Happy birthday, Diddy.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Just saying happy birthday. Wishing you a happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Daddy. This is your biggest fan from beautiful island, USA.
And I'm thankful for this day. It's the day that you were given life. And I thank God for it every night. Wishing you a happy birthday.
Hey, what up, Buffy? It's your biggest fan from Italy, Francesca. But everybody knows me as K-Girl. I just wanted to wish you a happy birthday. Because you deserve it and because you inspire every day of my life. So I just can say thank you so much for everything that you have done in this work. But I also want to thank Diddy who gave me this amazing honor to make this video for your birthday. So anyway, I hope you enjoy your day. I hope you enjoy this video. And much love from you, little puppy. Happy birthday again. Bye.
Oh, happy, 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 happy birthday. Happy birthday. Wishing my dad a happy birthday. It's your birthday.
Okay. Is it Diddy singing happy birthday to friends? Let's see this.
Hey, what's up, buddy? Good morning, buddy. How are you feeling today? Just Sally, we right here, baby. We gonna make some magic tonight? Happy birthday, dear friend. Happy birthday to you. Thank you. This is a special birthday for both. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear friend. Happy birthday to you. Thank you. This is a special birthday for both of us.
Stop. What do you mean by that?
Yeah.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear friend. Happy birthday to you. Thank you. This is a special birthday for both of us.
Stop. What do you mean by that?
Oh, no. All right. All right, people. Got a couple more tweets. Mia says I was getting mixed messages, okay? So, she's explaining why she worked. She got fired in December, but kept working for months afterwards. Steele says, what was this? She said, I was promoting the Bad Boy Reunion Tour. I was doing the documentary on, and Steele says, I'm going to show you something, DX 1700. She says, I remember this. So, did this? And they say, you did this? She says, it was nice of me. Steele says, you made this and gave it to Combs, right? She said, yes. What did you write at the top? Puff, sometimes life goes by at a catastrophic speed. I hope on this day, I hope you can sit back and consider I made this book of articles from 1991 to now. Steele says, did you mean those words? Mia says, yes. He said to me, I used to look up to the world the way you do. But now that I've done everything, it was sad. Ooh, okay. Steele says, this is the man, though, you say has ruined your life. Mia says, I can tell you what my therapist has said. So look like Mia constantly refers to her therapist when she's asked to explain why she wrote good things about the dude after he abused her. Combs says, how could you do this? Mia says it's called psychological abuse. No one did anything. Steele says, what could be more terrible? Ayo says his objection. The judge sustains it. Wow. We got confirmation on that Sarah Snecker thing. Cool. Any more videos of her floating around? Any more videos of her floating around, chat? Someone said birthday and BJ's are Diddy's favorite words. I don't think so. Okay, here we go. So now we got some more tweets here. Mia says there's a textbook out there. She's talking about now psychological abuse. It says it's called an abusive relationship. Look like she's getting a little snappy at Steele. She's trying to tell Brian Steele, like, yo, listen, you keep asking me why I'm going back, why is whatever. What I went through was also psychological. Go read some textbooks about it. Stop asking me, right? So Steele says, but you aren't dating Mr. Combs, are you? Because she mentioned it's an abusive relationship. Mia says abusive relationships aren't limited to that. There were no streaming documentaries about this. No one flinched at his behavior. Okay, they have a sidebar. Then they're back. Brian Steele says, where is it that you confronted him and said, you violated me sexually or otherwise, and he said, I needed your help? AOC says, objection. Judge says, overrule. Mia says, after St. Bart's, I confronted him about his behavior, not the other thing. Combs Steele says, you told Cassie she's a superstar and she should get the money? Mia says, I don't remember that. Steele says, aren't you lying about Mr. Combs' misbehavior? Mia says, I have not lied to anyone at all. Steele says, isn't it true that it did not happen as many times as you just said? Mia says, everything I said in this courtroom is true. Steele says, why did you make him a scrapbook then? Mia says, you could talk to an expert about sexual assault. Steele says, could we hand the scrapbook to the jurors? The judge says, take a brief look for a few minutes as he had promised. So they're going to look at it for a few minutes. Really? Okay, I think we played that already. Very, very interesting, chat. Remember this?
Tell you the real from the front line. You know what I'm saying? It's wicked, wicked, wicked. So you be careful.
Yeah.
We can't do nothing if they, you know what I'm saying? I need you out there, you feel me?
Yeah. I hear you. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Man, have some fucking fun.
Yeah.
Not having no fun and then get behind the mic, have some fun, chop up them samples, get back on your hitman vibe.
Yeah.
Have some fun, get back to smiling.
Yeah.
These other motherfuckers, they'll waste your time, big.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
Waste your
understand.
motherfucking time. You know what I'm saying? So put that love in your heart, man, and enjoy yourself, man. When I get out there, man, I'm gonna see you tear down the stadiums. I need to see you back on that stage and actually rapping and performing and everything. I be dreaming of that shit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's time. It's time for me to just grab the mic and get back on. It's like I love music again. It was a time when it's just like everything was so frustrating. I can't explain it, but
Jump into your bag, man. Jump into your bag. We're gonna have years and decades to fight these motherfuckers. Right now, enjoy your life. This is coming from me, from God to you.
Right.
Enjoy your life. Fall back in love, like when you was making the beats in the shop and coming up to Daddy's house and motherfucking rock studio and just chop them shits up, bring that SP 1200 out, nigga, the MPC, nigga, and have a good time and say the world and all the bullshit, man.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, man. So I love you, man. I appreciate you. And thanks again. And you know, I'm gonna see you soon, man.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's how it's gonna be. You gonna definitely beat this shit. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And that's it.
That's it, and that's all, baby. But I'm gonna make sure I call you back or something. It'd be good to.
Okay, so while we're waiting for some more tweets, I see another issue, or not issue, but I seen another thing people were talking about. I don't know, what's this? Combs. When was Cassie South Africa? When was she in South Africa? In 2015. Diddy.
But sometimes I get the urge to respond to them, and I respond in a very classy, loving way, you know, kill them with kindness. And they literally switch up. They switch up every time when you like reply messages with love. It's weird. But last night I was in the studio. I took a picture. Someone replied to my story and said, "Girl, bye. You just want to be a city girl so bad."
Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
So bad, okay? I don't want to be a city girl. I want real love. This is what I said to her. And she was like, "I'm sorry, no disrespect. Keep going." I said all that to say, when I read these mean comments and messages, I just know that it's just a projection of themselves onto me, because I ain't do nothing to you, okay? But me understanding that, I just laugh it off. Sometimes the comments are really funny, and I know that
About her past relationship.
Want to go get it right then and there. Vietnamese, and then my second favorite type of food is Mexican. This place I'm at right now. Okay. Cash at me.
Imagine being a billionaire side chick and telling random niggas to cash at you, bro.
This bitch about to get blocked right here. And I love it. I think it's a vibe. So another way would help is to like write it down.
But I guess.
Watch this already.
Why the hell so many people are trying to tell a little 20 pain pill?
But
I can't watch that shit, bro. I can't watch her talk. The Gina girl is going quite missing.
And then he like mushed my face and like really hard and made my nose
stupid B, and added the text, "When she beefing with you over." Oh, it looks like Cassie's lawsuit just opened the can for a whole lot of disturbing information to come out. The lawsuit that Cassie filed contained very graphic details about how he exploited, abused, and forced Cassie into having multiple encounters with other men while he filmed it. Of course, Diddy and his team denied these allegations and accused Cassie of just trying to get a payday. However, he settled the lawsuit in less than 24 hours, and word on the street is Diddy paid Cassie much more than what she was asking for because she had some very major dirt on him that he did not want exposed to the public. But the lawsuit being dismissed from court doesn't mean this is the end of it. See, people started digging up some receipts from the past about Diddy's very long track record of being abusive to women. In fact, they even found some old photos that Diddy posted years ago of Cassie clearly looking miserable. But at the time, no one was really suspecting of him of doing anything, so nobody took it serious. However, what really got people talking was an interview with Gina back in 2018 with Tasha K. In the interview, she detailed how Diddy manipulated her into a relationship while she was still very young and started mistreating her then. She said Diddy used to hit her, stomp on her, and even forced her to have abortions every single time she got pregnant. He also offered her $50K as hush money, so she wouldn't tell anybody what he was putting her through.
In the beginning, like the first 3.5 years, he was, the first 3-4 months, he was really nice, but then after that, he started being an ass. So he was like always belittling me and always like,
he was like mentally, emotionally, and physically me. He took one of my heels and tried to throw it at me, and then he like mushed my face and like really hard and made my nose bleed.
And you mind telling me what happened with that pregnancy?
I told him, and he was like, you're gonna get it right. And then I was like, I don't know. I don't know yet. And then he offered me $50,000 to get rid of it, but I turned it down because I just loved him, and I was like trying to prove that I wasn't the girl that wanted him for money.
Okay.
I just care about him.
But what most people don't know is that after this interview, Diddy actually forced Gina back into a relationship with him again. He even forced her to do a whole press run to say nice things about him and their very toxic relationship so he could clear up his name and people would forget everything she said in the interview with Tasha K. In fact, back in 2021, Gina had an interview with the Jasmine brand where she said, "At the end of the day, I really value the friendship that him and I have. He did bless me in a lot of ways. I am going to be forever grateful and respect him." However, things got real messy when Diddy started hooking up with Miami. So that drama started when news hit the internet that Diddy had gotten another woman pregnant while he was still in a relationship with Miami. Gina posted a clip with her lip syncing to the lyrics, "You doing all this extra shit, you stupid B," and added the text, "When she beefing with you over a guy, but whole time he got somebody else pregnant." She also said in the caption, "City girls down by 1,000.
Hey, you doing all this extra shit, you stupid.
Now, after Miami saw this, she went off on Gina and made fun of her for allowing Diddy to manipulate her back into a relationship, even though he physically abused her in the past. Miami went as far as to bringing up the interview with Tasha K and making fun of the abortions that Diddy forced Gina to have. She said, "Gina, you've been down bad ever since I came into the picture. You've been crying for a baby for 10 years. You've been used around as that B that eat P and D when he feel like it. You a eater. You the same B that was crying on Tasha K cause you wanted a baby. Poor sushi. You want a baby B. I have a career. You a certified freak. You haven't heard from Diddy since the awards, reminiscing on abortions. Let that hurt go, Chun-Li." Oh, but it gets worse, y'all, because the streets are saying that Miami knew everything about what Gina was going through at the hands of Diddy. Miami actually slipped up and confirmed this during her back and forth with Gina. There was a tweet where she basically implied that she could make Gina eat her out, whether Gina wanted to or not, simply by telling Diddy to give her the order. She said, "If I wanted you to eat my pussy, Diddy would have you on your knees. You a eater." Chill. I mean, we all knew Miami has been Diddy's ride or die for a while now, but I definitely didn't expect her to be an accomplice torturing his victims. This is just crazy. This also explains why Miami has been very quiet ever since the allegations came out. Most people thought she wasn't saying anything because she was scared of Diddy coming for her, but it looks like she was allegedly Diddy's accomplice the whole time because she knew everything about him and chose to stay quiet. Miami was also caught going off on a fan who left a comment about Cassie's lawsuit under a picture of her and Diddy. But once again, she didn't care and told the fan to get off her page. The person commented, "You ain't learning from Cassie's sister," to which Miami replied, "I think you under the wrong page, LMAO. Jaguar Wright also hinted at Miami being Diddy's accomplice when she blasted her for leaving Diddy after he cut her allowance from $500K to $250K a month. According to Jaguar, the reason why Miami felt offended when Diddy cut her allowance was because she was the one keeping all his dark secrets, and she was expecting him to compensate her for keeping said secrets.
What the f is going on that 250,000 ain't enough?
Ladies?
Like the fact that he, I'm just saying, the fact that he cut from 500 to 200. Who the f gives a shit? 200K? Who 250K? Who turning down 250K a month? What the fuck is going on in that relationship that 250K ain't enough?
Could see some things.
That ain't worth 250K. That's got to be some dark. Like, people are not understanding that girl quit 250K. 4 million every quarter. Well, I'm sorry, $1 million every quarter.
Shit.
Now, she was getting $2 million a quarter, but then she got, you know, you got going on that's so deep that it ain't worth $1 million a quarter.
People immediately rushed to social media and dragged Miami to filth for sticking with Diddy despite all of the things that she knows he's done to Gina and countless other victims. One person said, "The Cassie and Diddy situation is why I will always look at Young Miami weird as F. Like, girl, you know he's a disgusting creature." Another person said, "Young Miami came to an award show with a big sign for that man, standing out, being Diddy's biggest cheerleader. Trust and believe she's doing everything he's asking/telling her to, and then some. LOL. Ain't no grooming. That woman is okay with everything going on in his house." But now I want to know your thoughts. Do you think Gina is gonna file a lawsuit and press charges against Diddy? Maybe even Miami too? Y'all know what to do. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and don't forget to click here to watch this other very messy video.
All right. What the fuck? Okay, there we go. Hold up. Sorry, sir. Okay. All right. By the way, no, let's get back to the tweets. Okay. They're kind of moving a little slow. All right. The judge says, "Hey, just ask her if she recognizes this number." Mia says, "I do." So let's read these messages. I'll be KK. So now this is a message between KK and Mia. Mia says, "My life is over. I might as well." And KK says, "Call me back or I'm calling your parents." Mia says, "Fuck, I'm so sorry. I'm with Laura Gomez." KK says, "I'm not going to. I'm not going to say it. Fucking tell you are." Mia says, "The pain hurts so fucking bad." Steele says, "Who's Laura Gomez?" Mia says, "She was in HR at Combs Enterprise." Steele says, "You're going to go kill yourself. Your life is over." She says, "Yes." Steele says, "You could have quit." Mia says, "I didn't see it that way." Steele says, "Why?" Mia says, "There was a pretty long psychological explanation. I was around them 24 hours a day. That's all I knew." I said, "Well, weren't you happy to be severed? Isn't this great?" She says, "Not then." Okay. Yeah, it looks like Mia's testimony is going to go into absolutely tomorrow, unless Inner City Press is just kind of slow with the tweets today. It's been kind of dragging. Okay. All right. Anyway. By the way, All right. I don't know if we got more tweets. Like, it's been like slow today on the updates. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Steele then says, all right, so this is after they're saying, why weren't you happy that, you got fired? Like, why were you so upset? Then Steele says, Your Honor, the judge says, we'll let the jury go for the weekend. Don't read anything about the case. Just have notifications turned off. They rise. They said, Mia, we will see you on Monday. AUSA says, what's the authenticity of the last exhibit? So we got it from the government. AUSA says it's in different form with an unknown number. Mrs. Seal suggests that the green boxes are Mrs. Karam, but there is a unknown person. Defense says it's KK. Defense says we spoke with Karam's counsel. We had to put it in another format. Theirs crashes our computer. Okay, so that's interesting. So it appears that Karam is not going to be testifying against Diddy because the defense said we spoke with Miss Karam's lawyer. Okay? So we had to put in another format. Theirs crashed our computer. Mia says, oh, so you know what happens? Christina Karam turned over her emails. No, not her emails, her phone to Diddy's team. And I think, interesting. I got to think about that. Because I seen the prosecutor have it. Anyway, you can explore on redirect. Combs Agnifilo says, Mia's affected yesterday. Maybe it was real. Maybe it wasn't. We have a right. So remember, Mia was crying a lot yesterday. They said, if you're going to use the exhibit as impeachment, tell me. I can't read your mind. It says, yes, we're trying to be courteous and move the trial along. But she says she has PTSD. AUSA says we have an objection to 4032. Agnifilo says, we can write a letter over this weekend. The judge says, it's a 20-second happy birthday video. For the good of the order, may the parties come up with an order, please. Okay, so he's asking them to figure it out, bro. I got the weekend. Figure it out, okay? So I think they're going to try to use that video to show that Shorty was, still. It wasn't only Instagram that she was, like, fake happy about Sean Combs. There's a video, too, to show that she was fake. Not fake happy, but she was cool as hell with Diddy, okay? The diddler. All right, then. Okay. Now, remember Mia Clark that had taken